great relationship with Adam Silver. I talked to Adam more than I talked to Kathy. Breanna Stewart talked about the great relationship with Adam Silver and how they love to have him at the table. Nafisa called. All of these ladies was talking about, we love Adam. We love Adam. Adam done left they damn Instagram messages on scene too.
Left on read. That's the best way to describe what just happened to the WNBA Players Association. After months of talking about their strong relationship with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, after Sabrina Ionescu said she speaks to him more than WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, and after Breanna Stewart praised his willingness to negotiate, Silver packed up and took his operation to London. And he's not rushing back. This isn't just a routine business trip. It's a clear signal. While WNBA players are posting protest images outside NBA headquarters and calling a historic media deal disrespectful, Silver is overseas focused on launching NBA Europe with FIBA. The contrast says everything. The message couldn't be more obvious. He's moving on, and he's done getting pulled into a fight that the league can't seem to resolve on its own.
About that no more. He ain't thinking about that no more, bro. Look at this, man. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver staying in London. He not even over here to help y'all. I thought he was gonna sit down at a table with y'all. What happened? Are y'all meeting in London? No, y'all at Unrivaled, being conflicts of interest and all this other stuff that's going on. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver staying in London.
Remember what Adam Silver said just 2 months ago? He publicly promised to help get a deal done. He said he would personally sit at the table if needed and was fully committed to guiding the WNBA through these talks. Those weren't empty words. At the time, he genuinely seemed invested in helping the league move forward. Now look at where we are today. Silver's schedule for the next 2 weeks is packed with meetings in London about possible sovereign wealth investments in NBA Europe. Not WNBA labor talks. Not face-to-face meetings with the Players Association. Not resolving the growing conflict of interest issue. Instead, his focus is on securing major international funding for a European basketball project that could reshape the NBA's global future.
Negotiations. He talked about this instead. He ain't lied. He talked about this instead. They say, hey, what's going on with the WNBA CBA negotiations? Well, when it comes to NBA Europe, and we're working with FIBA, but we're gonna get a deal done with the WNBA. Like, bruh, he was already off it. He was already over it. I'm telling you. I watched it. Here it says, man, Adam Silver says possible sovereign wealth investment in NBA Europe could change U.S.
The timeline here is important. Back in December, reporters asked Adam Silver about the WNBA negotiations during a press conference. Watch how he responded. He immediately shifted the conversation to NBA Europe. He talked about FIBA partnerships, sovereign wealth investments, and how European business models could eventually shape the NBA in the U.S. The WNBA question? It got a quick throwaway line at the end. Yeah, we'll get a deal done. That wasn't a commissioner juggling priorities. That was a commissioner signaling where his real focus had already moved. He was mentally checked out of WNBA negotiations 3 months ago. The players just didn't see it. And it's not hard to understand why. They were too busy running public pressure campaigns. The RAD installation outside NBA headquarters in New York wasn't some random fan protest. It was organized. It was a coordinated message from players and their representatives about how they felt about the league's latest media rights offer. They called $1,300 per game insulting, disrespectful, and a slap in the face to what they believe they've built.
London to work on deals that actually matter to him because y'all are playing games. Y'all playing games. Y'all posting ratchet ghetto stuff on Instagram, taking shots like a bitter ex. It's nasty work what y'all doing. Y'all done nothing but push people away from fans to Adam Silver. No media coverage is covering Unrivaled. Unrivaled is tanking into left field in the worst way. I think right now you'd have to offer people money to watch them.
Here's what that publicity stunt really did. It turned off casual fans who were just starting to notice the WNBA. It created the impression that the league is combative and ungrateful. It made sponsors uneasy about being linked to something that might stir controversy. And most importantly, it sent a clear signal to Adam Silver. These negotiations weren't happening in good faith. You don't publicly insult someone and then expect them to jump in eager to help. That's not how professional relationships work. Silver has been in this business for decades. He knows when he's being used as leverage and when a negotiation has turned into theater instead of real discussion. The situation only got worse because of conflicts of interest. The league should be focused on finalizing a CBA before free agency. Instead, some of its biggest stars are launching a rival 3-on-3 league with serious financial backing. Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier are holding press conferences about player empowerment while simultaneously negotiating with the WNBA for better terms. The conflict is obvious, almost impressive in its audacity.
Y'all messing up free agency. You know what I mean? Like everything, all of this is messing up the whole get down, man. And now it seems like WNBA, if a deal gets done, WNBA free agency is going to push into March Madness, where we normally laser focused on the NCAA tournament. And seeing the top prospects that are about to come into this league compete and build up momentum and interest for what teams they land on. And now it seems like this is going to take away from that, man.
And what did those unrivaled press conferences really show? That the players wanted Adam Silver at the table. They even left an empty chair for him. A symbolic move meant to pressure a billionaire commissioner into attending a competing league's event that was actively undermining his organization. Silver saw that stunt and didn't just decline. He booked a flight to London. The timing tells the story. Within 2 weeks of that press conference, his team confirmed he would stay in London for NBA Europe meetings. He wasn't being petty. He was sending a clear message. He's focused elsewhere. Now let's look at the actual CBA negotiations and why the situation is worse than most people realize. It's almost March, and there's still no deal. March, the peak of March Madness, when women's college basketball gets its biggest stage and casual fans tune in to watch the stars of tomorrow who will shape the WNBA.
Sports, man, these ladies been doing an awesome job covering this in terms of how the WNBA CBA negotiations is affecting free agency and a lot of the off-season business that is set to take place in the WNBA.
You brought up an interesting point that I didn't really think of until now. And look, this isn't detrimental. This isn't the end of the world. But you think about where women's basketball is right now, the W and the sport as a whole. So much of that is because of the attention that's being paid to this sport and the way that this sport is covered. If we're talking about CBA negotiations or free agency in the month of March, well, the NCAA tournament is such a wonderful, open door for so many people to flood into this sport. It's such a wonderful opportunity for so many of these athletes' stories to be told. You think about so many games that happen in the NCAA tournament, that might be the only exposure that certain sports fans have to women's basketball throughout the entirety of the season. I'm thinking back to that Iowa-UConn game in the Final Four a couple of years ago, South Carolina and Iowa and the national.
Instead of the spotlight being on the game itself, WNBA free agency news is now competing for attention. Contract signings, trades, and salary talks are happening at the same time Paige Becker, Hannah Hidalgo, and their teams are chasing Final Four berths. Coverage gets split. Storylines get muddled. The purity of March Madness as a celebration of women's basketball is diluted by professional league drama. This matters more than it seems. Last year's national championship between Iowa and South Carolina drew huge ratings. Caitlin Clark versus the undefeated Gamecocks wasn't just the top story in women's basketball. It became a major sports story overall. That kind of attention is rare and extremely valuable. It's when casual viewers suddenly care about players and outcomes they normally wouldn't follow. Those moments are fragile. They need perfect timing, compelling storylines, and no distractions. Now imagine trying to replicate that while ESPN is flashing cheerings about O'Ja Wilson's new contract or Breanna Stewart's free agency. Casual fans come for college basketball, but get pulled into professional drama. they don't understand and didn't ask for. A reporter broke it down best. The NCAA tournament's purity is what drives so much of women's basketball's growth. 1 month a year, it's just basketball. No labor disputes, no salary controversies, no league politics. Just players, coaches, and teams competing for a championship. That clarity and focus is what brings in new fans.
The reason Caitlin Clark in the national championship game, that was the #1 story, not in this sport, but in sports for like weeks. Like, these are moments where women's college basketball gets to take center stage, and we just get to talk about basketball and players and coaches and what these teams and athletes and coaches have accomplished. It's just such a it's just a pure love of basketball for 1 month. We get that to just enjoy what we see.
Yeah, this is taking away from that tournament time.
See on the court. Coverage is such a massive part of this game. Whenever we're talking about the legalese of free agency and a CBA and upcoming contracts, that kind of pulls the just the sanctity is probably a very dramatic word. I'll use it anyway. The sanctity of what we get from the NCAA tournament.
She made a great point there, man. All of this stuff.
And now the WNBA is about to step on that momentum. Not because they want to, but because these negotiations have been so mismanaged, there's no other option. The CBA should have been finalized in January. A quick announcement, everyone happy, and a league moving forward into the season. Instead, it's a drawn-out saga bleeding into the most important month on the women's basketball calendar. Adam Silver sees all of this. He understands timing, narrative control, and how internal disputes can hurt the broader product. That's why even the NBA's tough CBA negotiations rarely spill over into playoff coverage or draft season. Silver knows how to separate business from entertainment. The WNBA, or more accurately, the Players Association, hasn't learned that lesson. They're treating these talks like a PR campaign, not a business transaction. Every complaint hits social media. Every perceived slight becomes a story. Every negotiating position is argued publicly before it even reaches the table. That approach only works if you have leverage. The WNBA players don't. The league still operates on a small scale. Even the celebrated media rights deal is tiny compared to the NBA. Attendance has improved, but isn't sustainable without NBA support. The players are negotiating from a position of dependence while acting like they hold all the power.
What you think, man? I believe Adam Silver has checked out on the WNBA. He don't want to deal with these ladies anymore. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. This Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel.
Here's why Adam Silver's move to London matters so much. It's not just that he's physically absent from the WNBA negotiations. It's what his absence signals about priorities. The NBA has limited resources and attention, and Silver has to allocate both where they matter most. Right now, that's NBA Europe, not labor talks that should have been wrapped up months ago. Think about NBA Europe. It's a potential multi-billion-dollar venture, expanding the NBA's global footprint. Partnerships with FIBA, European basketball federations, and sovereign wealth funds with nearly unlimited capital. It's the kind of transformational project that could define Silver's legacy. Compared to that, the WNBA CBA negotiations are a rounding error. Important, yes, but not legacy-defining. Silver has even said practices learned from NBA Europe could influence how the NBA operates in the US. That's a long-term vision, decades in the making. Meanwhile, the WNBA is debating whether $1,300 per game is fair. The scale difference is striking. Silver is reshaping international basketball. The players are arguing over per-game pay. Both matters are valid in context, but strategically, they're worlds apart. And here's the part that WNBA players seem to have missed. Silver was their best advocate. He genuinely wanted the league to succeed, not out of obligation, but because he believed in its potential. He saw growth, cultural momentum, and the opportunity to build something sustainable. But advocacy works both ways. It requires reciprocity, negotiating in good faith and recognizing when a deal, even if imperfect, is still strong. The WNBA players didn't do that. They took Silver's support for granted, assuming he'd always be there, ready to subsidize, to step in, to save the day. Now he's in London, and he's not coming back with the same energy or personal investment he had 6 months ago. The relationship isn't broken, but it's fundamentally changed. Silver will still meet his obligations and ensure the WNBA can operate. But the extra effort, the personal advocacy, the willingness to go above and beyond, that's gone. The players burned through that goodwill with publicity stunts, public criticism, and unrealistic demands. The consequences of this shift will unfold over years. Less priority when NBA resources are allocated, slower expansion decisions, less favorable media deals, and a league forced to prove itself without leaning on NBA support. Some will argue that independence is what the WNBA needs. But independence without sufficient revenue is just struggle. The league still relies on NBA infrastructure, media relationships, and financial backing. Pushing away the person who controlled access to all of that wasn't strategic, it was self-destructive. Watch the next 3 months. The CBA will likely be finalized, offering better terms than the players currently have, but worse than what could have been negotiated with a smarter approach. Free agency will collide with March Madness, creating conflicts that hurt both professional and college basketball. Unrivaled will finish its first season with modest ratings and lingering questions. Meanwhile, Adam Silver will stay in London, building NBA Europe, a project that excites him and shapes his legacy. The WNBA will send updates. He'll approve what's necessary, but the days of him personally championing the league, sitting at negotiating tables, and using his influence to open doors are over. Those days are over. The players wanted independence. They wanted to prove they didn't need Adam Silver's help. Congratulations. They're about to find out what that really looks like. And judging by how these negotiations have gone so far, it's not going to be pretty. So here's the real question. Was it worth it? Was the rat installation worth alienating your biggest advocate? Was the empty chair stunt worth pushing away the one person who could actually change your situation? Was publicly criticizing a media deal worth sacrificing the very relationship that made that deal possible? From where Silver is sitting in London, focusing on projects that don't involve managing egos, publicity stunts, or unrealistic demands, the answer is obvious. He's moved on. The only question now is whether the WNBA can figure out how to succeed without him. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns of what's really happening in women's basketball, hit subscribe. This story is far from over.